So most people want to keep layers, and yet these companies are unable to increase their stock over the past 2 years. What is the big problem? The most important thing that a human being needs is the mindset and the knowledge. Those are the two big things that a human being needs, because if you have those two things, you can conquer everything. I am going to tell you a secret. Let's say you are going to buy one chick, like this one over here. When it is a chick, this one has matured. When it costs you, that is like 2 million Kenyan shillings only to purchase. And when they buy those cockerels for the layers, those cockerels usually have this very slow growth. So they end up eating a lot of feed, and yet they are not converting to the body weight. Instead of you waiting for like 6 to 8 months so that you can be able to get your chicks. Remember, time value of money. I am a businessman. Time value of money. Each second you are getting old. How will you be able to make generational wealth? If you are able to buy it from us, you can raise it for 3 months. There is a shortage of day-old chicks in Kenya. The shortage of day-old layer chicks in Kenya. And why is it that there is a shortage of day-old chicks in Kenya? What is really happening in the market? Because this thing has never been experienced in a long time. And why are people not getting the day-old chicks? In this video, I will explain to you everything. Why are people not able to get the layers day-old chicks in Kenya? And why, if you are booking from that one company, they have a backlog of 6 to 8 months. You have to wait for 6 to 8 months. In this video, I will explain to you everything and what is the solution to that problem. Over here, you can see our chicken have grown and they are really faring on very well. They look as healthy as you can see them. Very, very beautiful. So I want to explain to you guys why we have this shortage of layer chicks in Kenya, and what are some of the things that has led to the shortage of layer chicks in Kenya. First of all, there's only one company in Kenya that produces layer chicks massively. There are various other companies that usually produce the layer chicks here in Kenya. I think I've startled the chicken a bit, so they are running towards the other end, you can see. So out of this one company, there are also some other subsidiary companies, some other small companies that usually also produce the layer chicks that they sell to consumers for the purpose of laying. Here I'm talking about the chicken that are only exotic layers, that are only kept for eggs. Here in Kenya, people prefer the red ones, which they are known as Isa Brown or Lohman Brown. Those are the chickens that are predominantly kept here in Kenya. So what is the main reason why we have this shortage of layer chicks here in Kenya? Why, if you have to order for chicks, those big companies have to stay with your money for 6 to 8 months before they give you the chick? 6 to 8 months staying with your money. According to me, if I'm a businessman, time value of money, it won't be a good idea, but things have to go as they are. Currently, things have really changed. And what are the things that have really changed that has led to this? I keep repeating myself, yes, but I want just to get to the point. The main reason why that has occurred is that the price of local other protein has really gone up, way above the roof. Like 2 years ago, the price of 1 kg of meat was 300 Kenyan shillings. And currently, the price of 1 kg of meat is around 600 shillings. So it has doubled in price. Meaning, if you have a larger family, if you are able only to buy for the 1 kg meat, the same amount you'll be able to buy only a half a kg. So if you have a huge family, you won't be able to feed them with enough protein. So what do you opt for? You opt for the cheap protein. What is the cheap protein? The eggs. The cost of one tray of egg is 450 Kenyan shillings. So that is what most people are opting for. That is meaning that this demand is consumer driven, meaning most people are shifting away from the other kinds of protein that are very expensive on the market, like the meat, which most people here in Kenya usually eat. But since the meat has gone up and most people can't afford it as like that, like a long time ago, it has made most people to shift their way towards eating of the eggs, meaning there's a huge demand for the eggs. If there is a huge demand for the eggs and most people have gone to the urban areas, meaning they really need that cheap protein, they can't do the farming on their own, this leads to most people trying to farm so that they can be able to satisfy that market. So this leads to most people wanting to keep the layer so that they can be able to sell the eggs to the consumers. And the better part with this is that, you know, these layer eggs, the eggs for the layers can stay up to 21 days before they go bad. So if you have layers and you have produced them, you can be able to shelve your eggs for 21 days before you sell them. So if you do the calculation according to the huge demand of the consumer products, how the people want the eggs, you'll be able to sell your product. That leads to most people wanting to keep layers. So most people want to keep layers, and yet these companies are unable to increase their stock over the past 2 years. What is the big problem? Why are not other people trying to get into that market and trying also to capture that market and trying to sell the day-old layers? I am going to tell you a secret. The day-old layers is something else. Is something totally else. That's why you can only see that is only one company or just a few companies that are trying to breed the day-old layers. Why am I saying that is something else? You know, if you are going to buy a parent stock for the layers, let's say you're going to buy one chick, like this one over here. When it is a chick, this one has matured. When you're going to buy one of these, when it is at day old, for the parent stock, so that you can be able to produce the layers, it costs you $10. This one, the parent stock, this one, it costs you $10. So what if you have to keep around 2,000? So if you have to keep, that is a minimum number of the breeding that you can keep. A minimum is around 2,000, so that you can be able just to make some little money. So if you are able to put around 2,000, you will spend $20,000 only on the purchase of these. $20,000 only on the purchase of the day-old chicks. That is like 2 million Kenyan shillings only to purchase 2,000 chicks. You know, only 2,000 chicks, that will be 2 million Kenyan shillings. And do you know, here in Kenya, if you are purchasing around 2,000 chicks, it will cost you around 200,000 Kenyan shillings, which is around $2,000. And this is $20,000. You see? So if the other one is like $2,000 and this one is like $20,000, meaning it is 10 times more expensive in the purchase of the parent stock for the layers. After you have purchased the layers, you have to raise those layers up to the point of lay, so that they can be able to give you the eggs. And you know, the bad part is that is what? The layers that usually give you the eggs, they don't lay like the layers that have come from the parent. So the parent may lay like around 280 to 300 eggs. So when they breed, then they will end up bringing the layer bird, which can lay up to 330 to 340 eggs per year. So you can end up finding out that the money that you will have invested in purchasing of the parent stock for this breed, so that you can be able to produce the layers, it is very, very expensive. So after you have done your calculation, you end up, for raising a chicken like this, you'll end up finding out that that will be like 2,000 Kenyan shillings for raising this chicken to the point of lay. 2,000 Kenyan shillings. And remember, out of those 2,000 chicken, you have like 1,600 which are female and 400 which are male. So meaning 400, like, can I say 300 and 1,700? So that another 300 are not able to produce the eggs. So you'll be having like around 1,700 hens. And remember, when you are raising this chicken, there are some cases whereby you will encounter some mortalities. That is just there. You can encounter some mortalities when they are growing up. So when you encounter those mortalities, maybe you will remain with around 1,500 females. So these 1,500 females, they can lay around 1,100 to 1,200 eggs per day. And those 1,100 to 1,200 eggs per day, you can only be able to select the best eggs for be able to produce the chicks. So when you end up selecting the best eggs to be able to produce the chicks, you end up finding out that you are only remaining with around 900 to 1,000 good eggs, so that you can be able to produce the chicks. Now let's head to the production of the chicks. So you have raised this chicken up to this age, it has started laying. To produce one chick of a layer, it will cost you around 30 to 40 bob Kenyan shillings to produce one chick. So after you have produced that chick, this is where the biggest problems comes in. You have selected your eggs. Most people will say that you have to select the shape of the egg, But if you select the shape of the egg and you have a few layers, you will end up just getting a few offsprings whereby you can have these other breeds that come into place, whereby you can have the roosters. So out of these layers, you know, the layers people usually only sell the female hens. So you have breeded your chicken, and according to what I have done over a long time, according to what I have done incubation over a long time, I realized that when you are doing incubation, it will take you around a very little time so that you can be able to get the offspring. And the offspring usually comes out around 50 to 60%. It varies. 50, you can get 50 male, 50 female, or 60 male, 40 female, or 60 female, 40 male. So out of that 1,000 egg, let me say you have kept 1,000 egg in the incubator, then you end up getting only half of that can be sold to the market. These other, the male roosters that usually come, the better thing is that these chicken are always sex linked, meaning that these layer chicken which are red in color and the males are white in color. So these people usually end up and find these other buyers whereby they usually sell these cocks and they say that this chicken are selling to you at a very cheaper price. Most of these hatcheries usually just end up culling those small chicken. But for these bigger other hatcheries, what they usually do, they usually sell off those chicks at around $0.2, which is like 20 Kenyan shillings. So these other people, they buy it and then they go and sell to other people. So these other unsuspecting customers, they usually end up buying those chicks at around, they are usually very white in color, so they usually end up buying those chicks at around 50 to 80 bob. So they usually say, I have bought some chicks which are around 50 to 80 bob. Why are you selling to me the chick at a very expensive? So they usually end up buying those chicks. And when they buy those cockerels for the layers, those cockerels usually have this very slow growth. So they end up eating a lot of feed and yet they are not consuming, and they are not converting to the body weight. So that is the biggest problem, because you end up finding out that you have only hatched a half. So when you hatch a half and maybe you are expecting like 70% and you end up hatching like 50%, for these big hatcheries they usually hatch like in 100,000. So for example, you're expecting like, let me say 100,000 chicks per week, then you end up hatching like 50,000. So you see that difference of 50,000 chicks makes that order to be pushed to the next week. So if you keep on pushing like that for a longer time, it will end up piling it up to 6 to 8 months. So you'll have to wait. But there is a solution to that, but you'll have to wait before you get to the solution. And the solution to that I will tell you as we continue with the video. So most of these hatcheries, when you do your math, you won't be able to break even very early. So you'll end up wasting a lot of money in the production of those layers if you are doing it in a smaller scale. So the best way you can do it is if you are keeping over 10,000 breeder stock. And if you are keeping over 10,000 breeder stock, this means that you really need to have a lot of money. So if you don't have a lot of money and you want to try to keep that like 10,000 breeder layers, it is very impossible for you to be able to achieve that. So that leads to most people just persevering with the problem. But guys, if you are out there and you are a real investor and you are able to invest in such a project here in Africa, you can contact me. My email address is below in the comment section, because I think I have enough knowledge of how we can run a successful business, or how you can do this hatching of layers, and you can be able to make a lot of good money out of this venture, because that is the biggest thing, the biggest market that we have currently. So the other solution to that, even if you have not gotten that enough money, there another solution to that. Instead of you waiting for like 6 to 8 months so that you can be able to get your chicks, remember time value of money. I am a businessman. Time value of money is very, very important. Time value of money. Why am I saying time value of money? Because return on investment, at what rate will you recoup back your investment? Because if you're giving someone like 6 to 8 months to stay with your money, 6 to 8 months staying with your money, remember, for the layers, it takes you between 8 to 11 months for you to break even. 8 to 11 months. I'm saying 8 months if you're doing deep litter, 11 months if you are putting your chicken in cages. It will take you that time. before you recoup your investment. After you have recouped your investment, this chicken usually lay around 18 weeks. Okay, that is if you are doing everything as usual. You are buying feeds, you are not making your own feeds. It will take you 8 to 11 months before you recoup your investment. So if you continue doing that, you'll end up finding out that if you add these 6 months, it will take you like 1.5 years, almost 1.5 years, for you to be able to recoup your investment. You are getting old. Each day, each minute, each second, you are getting old. How will you be able to make generational wealth if you are doing that? If you are just able to keep your money somewhere, that money is not generating any interest. It just stay there with those guys. And then you end up wasting all this time so that you can be able to get the layer chicks. But you have a solution. You can end up buying the improved kienyeji breed. This breed that we are breeding over here, we have it in plenty. If you are able to buy it from us, you can raise it for 3 months. For every 3 months that you raise those chicken, you can be able to sell them for meat. Or if you can be able to raise them up to maturity, whereby you can be able to produce your own eggs, you can be able to produce eggs in a small quantity, then you can be able to sell to those small hatcheries. So if you're able to produce eggs in small quantities, then you are able to sell those eggs to small hatcheries in your area, because I think most people here in Kenya have these small incubators of around 500 to 1,000 eggs. So if you're able just to get some few clients whereby you can be able to produce your own chicks in your area and also sell to your local area and be able to get cheap protein, because if you are able to produce your eggs, you can have those some other eggs whereby they can fetch 3 times the price of these exotic layer eggs. So why don't you venture into this? Because you have to do something. Venture into this as you wait for that market to stabilize. If that market has stabilized, then you can go back to the layers. But if you are an investor, you can come here in Kenya and we can do a partnership whereby we will be able to do poultry farming in the sector of the layer industry. Because that problem hasn't started now, but it's just the most important thing that a human being needs is the mindset and the knowledge. Those are the 2 big things that a human being needs, because if you have those 2 things, you can conquer everything. I usually hear, but some people usually say confidence, but that is true. But you can have confidence, but you don't have the knowledge. You'll just be talking and people will be wondering, what is this guy talking about? So that is what I'm talking about. So if you really want to make money out of this venture, you can start with this improved breed. It is a good breed and you'll be able to make money. For those people that usually wonder, you can also be able to select the females out of this breed. If you have selected the females, then you can also be able to sell the females. If you are able to sell the females, then you'll be able to get some money out of this. Yes. So you have to just to think outside the box. If you select the females, then you'll be able to sell them. They usually lay around 220 to 260 eggs, which is shy 80 eggs. But you'll be able to raise them. And the better part with these, after they have started laying, you will sell these chicken at double the price. The X-layer usually go at around 400, 500 shillings. This one you will sell to around 1,000 to 1,200 shillings. So that is double the price after you have already recouped your investment. Because the cost of a tray for these eggs which are fertilized is around 1,000 Kenyan shillings. So why don't you do this? Even if you are selling them as stable eggs, you'll sell them at around 750. Okay? Or if you just decide to sell them as the layers, you can sell them at 500, because you'll say these eggs come from the organic improved kienyeji breed, and you'll be able to mint millions out of this venture. That is just what I want you guys to know. You must just be open-minded. Don't keep your mind clogged. You just have to focus on one thing. Be open-minded and mint opportunities. Don't give people your money to stay with your money for that long time. Be able to make millions. Just think outside the box. The world keep on changing each and every day. So you have to change with the world. Don't stay with the old things which our grandfather usually did. The world keeps on changing. So you just have to adapt. I know most people don't like change, but change is always inevitable. Things keep on changing. You have just to adapt and move with the crowd. When the things change, move. And if you're able to move, you'll be able to mint millions. And that is what this channel is here to do, to make you guys be profitable in the agricultural sector. So guys, if you haven't watched my video of how you can be able to control floods around your poultry farm, make sure you click up here.